This episode is brought to you by Path Purpose. Path Purpose helps you uncover your purpose and who you truly are through the lens of human design. By understanding your unique energetic blueprint, you can navigate opportunities with more inner confidence, make aligned decisions, and live with greater authenticity. Instead of struggling with resistance, burnout, or uncertainty, human design supports you in stepping into your natural inner flow to then follow your purpose. To learn more about how human design can guide you towards clarity and alignment, visit pathpurpose.de. And for more information, follow the link in our show notes. Welcome to Young Blossom 25 Future Leaders Revealed. I'm Inga, and with me is Vayos, my co-host. And today with us is John Karakasidis, who is joining us for a conversation about future of leadership to share his perspective on multi-generational workplaces. John works as sales supervisor in PepsiCo organized trade division in Greece. He oversees relationships with key retail partners, ensuring PepsiCo's iconic, most beautiful brands, I am a bit biased, reach consumers through some of the country's most important sales channels. He holds a bachelor degree from Winchester University and has built solid experience navigating the highly competitive food and beverage sector, developing a deep understanding of what it takes to build strong partnerships, execute at the point of sale, and adapt to shifting shopper behaviors. John is Gen Z. Welcome, John. This is what ChatGPT had to say about you. This is what we were able, or what it was able to uncover. Do you want to share a little bit whether it got it all right? Do you want to share a bit about yourself, because it didn't say anything really too personal about you? Who is John?
Thank you, Inga. I'm really glad to be here. I think that was a very accurate summary of my professional background. But as you said, it lacks a little bit about personal level. On a personal level, I would like to add that I'm someone full of energy and passion for what I do. I love sports, especially going to the gym and running, and I enjoy reading books that help me grow both personally and professionally. I'm definitely an extrovert, and I really enjoy connecting with people, sharing ideas, and learning from different perspectives. These things help me stay motivated and bring fresh energy to my work every day.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, welcome to the show. We're very glad to have you. Do you want to say to our listeners how old you are so that everybody understands?
I'm 27 years old. Almost.
You're very young.
Yeah.
You're very young. Very nice. Right. Before we jump in, just a reminder to our listeners, in this podcast, we are here to have conversations with future leaders like Yanis to gain first-hand understanding from them about their approach to work, life, learning, progress, and equally. We will also welcome current leaders on the show to share their insights and provoke how working environment and learning institutions need to adapt and set up the younger generation for success. So with that, Vayos, are we kicking off?
We must. So welcome, John. Really
you,
glad to have you on our show, and I'm looking forward to discussing with you today. John, I have a favorite question that I ask everyone who joins our show. What is it that makes Gen Z, your generation, so special, so different compared to all others?
In my opinion, Vios, what makes our generation so unique is that we have grown up in a world of constant change. Economic shifts, digital transformation, social movement, and global challenge, of course. These experiences have shaped us to be adaptable, purpose-driven, and deeply aware of the world around us. We are driven by meaning more than status. We want to work for companies that align with our values, not just offer a paycheck. We seek flexibility, autonomy, and transparency. We value mental health, diversity, and authenticity, and we are not afraid to challenge outdated systems if they don't serve people well. At the same time, the most important for me, we are very ambitious. We want to lead, we want to innovate, and make an impact. But we want to do it in a way that feels human and sustainable. I also see these values play out every day in my role at PepsiCo. For example, in my team, we don't just focus on hitting targets. We talk openly about purpose, growth, and how our work is to something bigger. I encourage autonomy and flexibility because I know that's what motivates my generation. And we thrive when we feel trusted and when our ideas are heard. Even in how we communicate, see that there is a shift. Gen Z prefers transparency and direct feedback, not just formal reviews. I try to lead with empathy and energy because I think in our generation that builds stronger engagement and trust.
John, thanks so much for the perspective. You mentioned the word human, yeah? And it's a word also that our former guest, Vera Macedo,
Yes. I also saw the podcast with Vera and with Iris. I liked it. I believe that the workplace needs, and I think it will become also, much more human-centered and flexible. I think that we will see shift from rigid structures to environments that prioritize well-being, purpose, and continuous learning, because technology, especially AI, will automate many tasks, but that will make soft skills like emotional intelligence, creativity, adaptability even more valuable. So I think that we need to care about those. I also expect that remote and hybrid work to become the norm, not the exception. Companies will need to focus more on culture, trust, and digital collaboration. And leadership, of course, will evolve too. It will be less about hierarchy and more about empowerment, inclusion, and shared purpose. Also, that's the things I try to do. Ultimately, the workplace will be shaped by values, not just KPIs. And that's a change I'm really excited to be part of. In my opinion, what we want, what current leaders should do is embrace change, not just tolerate it. Our generation is bringing new energy, ideas, and expectations to the workplace, and we need leaders who are open to listening, adapting, and evolving. We like to see these things. We love to see, and I also would love to see more leaders create space for younger voices, not just in meetings, but in decision making. We don't expect to know everything, of course. We want to learn, but we also want to contribute. I also wish leaders would lead empathy, because our generation values, as you said, mental health, purpose, and flexibility. When leaders show they care about people, not just performance, it builds trust and loyalty. I think that leaders should care more about people and less about numbers in the future.
Yeah, I have a few comments or follow-up questions on was PepsiCo your first and only employer so far?
Yes. I started PepsiCo 8 years before when I was 19 years old as a merchandiser.
So tell us a bit, because that is quite rare in your generation that somebody stays for so long. I mean, in your for Gen Z, 8 years is like an eternity. What made you stay? Like, what does the company do that that keeps you going?
Yes. The most important for me and for my generation, in my opinion, as I said before, it's that we want to improve every day, all wise, business wise, people wise, professionally and personally. What helped me the most, in my opinion, to stay for so many years at PepsiCo is that I have changed 4 roles. For example, it's obvious that if I have stayed in my first role since today, maybe I would not be at PepsiCo, because I think that our generation, it's not so patient. Yes, this is not so good from one side, but on the other side, we are very ambitious. We see nowadays in the internet, in social media, everywhere, that we can do whatever we want, that there is a global thing, so we don't have so much patience. Furthermore, what helped me stay in PepsiCo was that I saw empathy. I had great leaders who believed in me and gave me a chance to grow. And I was always feeling very good, because that's also a very important part for me and for my generation. As I said, we don't just focus on the paycheck. That's the less important. We focus on how do we feel. And I feel very good at PepsiCo those 8 years. All the people around me were great. That's the first thing.
It's so interesting having been in PepsiCo, and I obviously worked with you. I still remember the day I met you for the first time. It was in one of the visits that I came to Thessaloniki, and then you were in a Sklavenitis store, which is for those listeners who have never been to Greece, it's the biggest retailer in Greece. And you were doing something on the iPad at a speed which I was not able to follow. And then you said just a couple of things that were so simple, what drove a little bit of frustration, like if the signal is not good, then we cannot submit the order, and then we need to go back into the car and we need to see that the signal is better, or I need to do it at home. It was very cumbersome, the work that we're doing. And I left and I thought, wow, in the era of that digital transformation where everything seems to be available at your fingertip, we put people into quite a cumbersome situation to deal with something that is as simple as, if the streaming doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like, you have to interrupt your work and you have to go back to it later. The way you explained it was quite straightforward and very articulate. And I remember I was talking to the area manager back then, and I said, who is that kid? He said, that's Yanis, Yanaki, as you became known for. Very bright, very dedicated and committed. The next question I asked was, how is he progressing? And I think there was a moment of, you did quite a bit of progress from the beginning, but then there was a moment where things were becoming a little bit more stagnant. Help me understand what progress means. Often in more senior positions, when we look at talent, we believe progress equals a promotion.
Not
But
always.
progress does not necessarily equal a promotion. Progress can also be, give me a project that I know nothing about and I'm going to learn something. Give me a lateral move where I'm going to learn something that I haven't learned. Is that fair? Is it right? Or are you just motivated if you get more money and a promotion?
Oh,
This
no,
is
no.
the only way for you to be happy.
Yes. First of all, what our generation wish is to learn and improve every day. When I feel that tomorrow I will be improved, I feel okay. I'm good. If I take a role, for example, my current role, sales supervisor that I took in January, I now feel that every day I'm learning something new. Every single day. When after some years, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, I feel that I have given my 100% in that role and I have nothing more to take about this role. That's the point when I start to feel I'm not improving anymore. That's the one thing. The second thing is something you know about the story that you mentioned earlier. Of course, I remembered it very good. Do you know how a 24 years old sales representative feels to have his country manager side to him and she's listening to him? It was very important for me. I think that our generation are very brave, are very passionate, as I mentioned in the start, and we don't fear. We want challenges. We want to be everywhere. So this day was a trademark day for me. I was very anxious all the week that our CEO for Greece will come in my store, and not nor did she come, but she also came and was listening to me for about 10 minutes for my problem. That's empathy. That's the people group that I said before that we want to have in our work. It was really important for me. And also I saw that after our discussion, it was some things that went up and evolved all these things. So that's the most important, to feel that our voice are heard and we take decision also with our leadership team, our manager. That's very important for us.
I think that's that comes up in many of the discussions that we're having, that your generation is asking to be heard, and I think this is no different to any other generation. I think for us as current leaders, as we're still in charge, and I say that for me personally, talking to Gen Z is a lot more insightful, because you guys are not afraid, because you guys will tell things as they are, but you will also give perspective how things can improve, what can be done. So the younger generation is a lot more open to give perspective. I encourage all the current leaders that are listening, engage with this cohort, because they are actually giving you, without any BS, without any, you need to read between the lines. They're very straightforward, and you will understand a lot more what's happening and where you can tap in. I think that's very visible as well. Let me ask you, before Vayus jumps back in, let me ask you, how did you set for yourself when you finished university? What do I want to do? How did you go about defining your path until today? Where is it going to lead me? Was it a bit you stumbled into it? Was it something you planned?
Yes. To be honest, I was lucky that I had and I have also a very good manager who helped me in this thing, because from the day one, we had a path. In this path was also that I had to take an MBA, I had to follow my English and take a proficiency and be and have better tools in my hands to become a better professional. So after my university, I had some discussions with myself, with my manager and my HR also. And I told the things that I wanted, I think, for myself, and we had a career path. The first step in this career path was after the SFA role to take my first team and be a leader for the first time, to start and get some very, very important skills for my professional career.
So what do you want to become?
I want to become happy, to be honest. I'm happy today and I want to be happy for all my career. I wouldn't like
That
to.
is another very interesting point, because if you ask, because I know you will forgive me for that question. But if you ask people, what do you want to become in my generation? People are like, okay, my next step is going to be this. And then I want to become this. And then I want to become this. And then I'm going to reach this. And then, whereas in your generation, and we do ask that question regularly in the podcast, the most frequent answer is, I want to be happy and I want whatever I do that it is aligned with my purpose and with my values.
Yes.
And is it because you don't know yet where this journey is going to go, which is fine, right? Or is it because you don't care as much, lack of better way to say it? What's driving this answer?
Of course, I care a lot for my career path. I, of course, have in my mind my career path and the steps I would love to follow. But the most important thing for me is to be happy and to have a life balance. Because if I'm not happy, whatever position I get doesn't matter for me. If I'm not good with myself, with my family, with my friends, with my work, because work and life is one. We work all day and we live all day. So it's one thing. That's the matter. I think what matters most for me. It all starts from there. And when you are happy, we can proceed. And when you proceed and you are happy, you can succeed. That's what I think.
Where do you think the misconception comes from that Gen Z, they are lazy, entitled, all the time on their phones? They are only caring about being happy.
Be honest, because as we said, our generation is different from the previous one, and also previous generation was different from the previous one. Nowadays, we have a very good visualization of what's going on the planet, the good and the bad things. We want to avoid the bad things and the tough things, and we want to go to be in the good sector, in the good image, So we see what's going on worldwide, and we are not feared to chase our dreams. What I mean, in my mind, let's say that I live in a small village in Thessaloniki, okay? 20 years before, if I was a sales supervisor, 27 years old in my village, I was the president of the village. Today, I'm also, in my mind, very, very good. I feel very happy. I feel very, very, very blessed. But I know that that's not what matters the most in the world. The career, the job is not the only thing. We have to care about environment, about our planet. We have to see what's happening outside of our village because we have visibility. That's why I make those examples, because in previous year, I think generations didn't have so great visibility. So they was just seeing what's going on for them or outside of them. Now we are seeing what's going on worldwide. And we see that there are a lot of things in our world that we should improve for next generations and for our generation, of course. So the title and the work, it's not the only thing. It's the one thing because, as I said, your work is your life. And when you find what you love, I have found it. You are very happy and you are balanced with your friends, your family, with your kids, with everything. But I think you have to do a lot of things, not just focus on your career. You have to focus 100% on your career, but you have to blend those things with other ones.
So what you're saying is that the perception manifests itself because you care about more than just your work, whereas the previous generation, they were very defined by work, by job, by position, rather than other things. And you say for you guys, other things play as big of a role as your job, if not even more in some instances. And that may be perceived as, yeah, you are not as dedicated and you dedicate too much time to other things.
As you know, not at all. That's not the thing. I think we dedicate a lot of time. If we find our balance, we have not problem to dedicate our evenings, our Saturdays, our Sundays in our work, because when we work, we also live. So we don't have a problem that to do some work paper when we are off.
And what I like about you, Yanis, is that throughout the years you haven't changed your perspective, because I was the one who recruited you in PepsiCo 8 years ago. I'm really happy to hear the consistency and see the consistency of you throughout the years. Now, we talked a lot about what Gen Z needs. For me, it's equally important to understand if there are things that maybe Gen Z needs to change, to adapt in this fast changing environment, because it's not only about the needs of one generation, it's also the needs of the other generation that we need to equalize and get a balance. How do you see that?
Of course, I agree. First of all, I think the generational gap is real. It exists. That's why we are here. But it's not a barrier, it's an opportunity for growth and collaboration. We have been shaped by technology, social movements, and a strong desire for purpose. We want to work in environments where we feel trusted, where our ideas matter, and we can grow both professionally and personally. But at the same time, I think Gen Z has a responsibility too. We need to be open to learning, to respecting legacy, and to building bridges rather than walls. We shouldn't aim to replace, we should aim to collaborate. I think leadership is not a competition between generations, as someone may see it. It's a shared journey where each generation brings something valuable and maybe something new to the table. If we can build mutual respect, stay curious, and focus on shared goals, I believe we can create workplaces that are more inclusive, innovative, and more human. That's the kind of future I and my generation want to help build. And I think it starts with understanding, not division.
What would be the one piece of advice you would give to your generation, your colleagues that sits within the same age group as you?
Be ambitious, to ask more questions, and to find people they can learn from. Also, to be patient, because every experience counts, every step counts, even the small ones, and always stay positive, because the mindset, in my opinion, is the most important thing for one person. If you have positive mindset, you can achieve everything in the world, for me. If you don't have a positive point of view, you can't do anything.
John, we talk a lot about PepsiCo, how you evolved throughout the years, and you mentioned maybe I would not have stayed if I wouldn't have the career progression that I had. Obviously, as one parameter in your journey, and in that you mentioned a lot the importance of the leaders that you had in PepsiCo guiding you. Are there any characteristics that you see as extremely important in a leader of my generation who are currently leading Gen Zers in order to have people like you happy, engaged, motivated in the workplace?
Yes, I understand. In my opinion, work environment, it's very, very important for our generation. We want to feel trusting. We want to feel that our voice matters, and we want to feel that we are able. When we feel that our leaders are listening to us because they think that we have something to add, something valuable, that's what matters the most for us. That's also the story that Inga referred to earlier. When I was sitting with my country manager and she was sharing me, I was feeling that I really matter for that company. I'm not just a person. I'm not just a role. I'm not just a number. I'm John. And Inga, in those case, is listening to me because she thinks that I have something valuable to add. I know who I am. I know what to do. And I also am able to do my work and improve the company, not just follow instructions, because this is important for us.
And do the companies today, obviously, you can comment on PepsiCo, companies like PepsiCo, are they facilitating that need? Or are they overstructured and need to start, breaking through some of those structures? What's your point of view on that?
I think that I would tell about PepsiCo because that's my experience. This improves every year. I see that all sections are trying to improve every year to close the gap between our generation. And it's important to be every year because every year the percentage of Gen Z in every organization is increased. 5 years before, I was not seeing so much progress, but 5 years before, maybe I was the only Gen Z in the PepsiCo. Today is the 20, 30%, I don't know. After 5 years will be the 50, and after 8 years will be the majority. So I think leaders have to improve every day, and we should try all together to bridging the gap because it's not a competition, as I said. It's a teamwork.
Yeah.
We have to collaborate effectively and efficiently.
Have
Yep.
you learned something, John, from current leaders?
Yes, I have learned a lot of things. The first things that comes in my mind are to try to give the spirit to the people, to have a clear view of the next many years, not just this month, to have I don't have the work, sorry, to
A
give
vision.
the ambition, yes, and also, as we say in Greek, vias the orama, yes, the vision, yes,
vision.
to have the vision and to help the people also be in the board. When you are in a company with 1,000 people, each one of them will have the vision and will know what to do and how will be the next days, the next month, the next years, and don't just see the month or the year. To have a vision, what PepsiCo, for example, in that case, want to achieve in 5 years. That was really important for me to feel that I have access for the vision of the company. That was the first one. And that was something that I think our leader was focusing a lot in our annual conference, for example. And it's really important. And to try also and building strong relationships, bridging the gaps, and don't have lines between teams and leaders and be something different. It's very, very important, the leadership team of a company, to be everywhere. And every employee of a company to feel that he has access to speak up to an LT member. That's what I saw to change my company the last 2-3 years. And that was a change that I think was really, really positive. And I will try to add it in my skills.
And I think because I was working in Greece for the last 2.5 years, what was quite outstanding is that in those sessions when I was traveling around and visiting, it was the young people who were speaking. It was the young people who were asking questions. It was the young people who were curious versus the people that are a lot longer in the company, have a lot more experience, have seen a lot more. For whatever reason, they didn't feel as comfortable to engage into a conversation, which conversation goes always both ways, right? So yeah, there is a point. Your advice to Gen Z was ask more questions. My advice, and maybe that's a little bit of a cultural thing here in Greece. It doesn't exist with the young people, but it does exist with the older generation, that people don't ask as many questions, because asking questions is a sign of curious, I'm engaged, I'm trying to understand, and I'm genuinely interested in what is happening. And I take an opportunity to speak to a senior person, to whoever comes and wants to dedicate time, right? I think that's nice. I'm looking at the time. We're 35 minutes in, and I have there are some good quotes here, Yanis, from you. The one, just to sum it up a bit, the generational gap is real. That's why we're here, of course. But the way you phrased it was, generational gap is an opportunity for growth and collaboration. I love that. And that mindset, we need to also transmit that to the previous generation. You guys are a lot more open to the dialogue. And I feel like sometimes we're shutting you down. And I say we, just standing for the generation. Building bridges, not walls. I think that's beautifully put. Leadership is not a competition between generations. I love that one. And sometimes it may feel this way. Oh yeah, I'm in charge. I know how it works because I have all that experience. But you know what I don't have is the experience in the world you are growing up in. I'm kind of there and we're coexisting, but I still don't have the same level of living through it and interacting through technology and social media and all of that the way you guys are interacting. Vias, if you don't have any burning questions, I'm going to move us to the lightning round. All right. John, we have a lightning round where we ask very sharply a couple of questions. Don't overthink it. Just give your spontaneous response. The chat channel you are using predominantly.
WhatsApp.
Social media you spend most of your time on.
LinkedIn.
That is the first Gen Z that is spending most of his time on LinkedIn. Where do you get your music from?
Spotify.
Where do you get your podcasts from?
Spotify, of course.
Physical books or audiobooks?
Audiobooks. I don't like physical.
What is the one skill you would recommend Gen Z to learn? One skill.
Resilience, bouncing back from setbacks with strength, and ask more.
And what is the one skill you would recommend Gen X to learn, or millennial?
Mentorship, to guide and empower future leaders.
And if there was a famous person to meet, who would that be for you?
Definitely Cristiano Ronaldo, my idol, not just because of his success in football, but because of his mindset, his discipline, work ethic, and constant drive to improve are values I really admire, not just in sports, but in leadership and life. I think there is a lot we can learn from how he handles pressure, stays focused, and keeps evolving. And the most important thing for me is that even if he's on the top, even if he's number one, he's very hungry. That's the most important thing for me. And that's why
Well, Cristiano Ronaldo, if you're listening to us, John would really like to meet you. So maybe
I don't think so.
Maybe we can arrange that. John, it was such a blast having you on the show and getting your perspective on Gen Z leadership, current and future leadership. Very enriching, and I'm sure our listeners will enjoy that episode. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Inga.
John.
Thank you. It was great to be here, and congratulations for this excellent podcast.
Thank you, John. It was really nice. And I think most people know now that they can find us and get Young Blossom 25 Future Leaders Revealed from wherever they get their podcasts, including YouTube. Please hit the follow or subscribe button. And until next time, see you.